Hi, everybody. Today we will be interviewing Colleen Jolly of International Pole Convention.
Hey,
So,
Colleen.
for everybody who may not know, what is PoleCon?
What is PoleCon? So PoleCon is, at its basic form, it's an event that gathers together pole dancers from all over the world. A lot of people have said that PoleCon is like a big pole family reunion. So that's something that we are really happy about.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I know a lot of people really love, just having that family part aspect of pole.
Mhm.
Having a dedicated place for everyone to get
Mhm.
together and talk pull things that we normally don't get to talk about on a daily basis. So yes, that's awesome. Very cool. We loved it.
Yay.
So what's the story of PoleCon? How did you come up with it? What was it like in the first few years of getting it started?
Sure. So I'm actually not the founder of PoleCon. PoleCon was founded and had its first event in 2010. The previous owner in 2014 just decided it wasn't something she wanted to do anymore. And I couldn't let PoleCon stop. So I
Yeah, you can't let that go.
So grateful that you did, that you took it over for sure.
it was my first PoleCon was 2013, and I just fell in love with it. So when the opportunity came to take over the event in 2014, I jumped at the chance, purchased the event, and I did my first event in 2015 in New Orleans.
Mm, yes, and full circle coming
So
back to
bringing
you.
it back next year to New Orleans.
Yep, it's going to be our 10-year anniversary, and it will be my sixth PoleCon.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's good. Yeah, good numbers all around. That's really really cool. We're so the last pull convention that just passed in June. It was in Denver,
Yes.
and how do you? We were so fortunate to go. Again, this was our first one, and we just loved everything about it. But as far as how PullCon has been going and how it was this past year, what did you think? How did it go? I mean, I thought it was a great success, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, every year PoleCon grows about 20% in terms of number of
Wow.
people attending.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's good for our community. That's good news. Everybody listen up, listen up. Great.
Yes, more people involved, more people from all over the world. It's great that we change locations every year because we wind up getting a new crew that will follow us. So we had a lot of people from Denver who were just so appreciative that we came to Denver. We came
Yeah.
so they could just drive to the event.
Especially in neighboring states. Like that's a couple hour drive just to get to PolCon versus like across the country every year.
Mhm.
Really fun. I like that change of location. I think it's really like, not only does it bring people from the area to it that otherwise wouldn't have traveled, but for Destiny and I, we can definitely say it was one of the motivations to get us out there. We're like, well, PullCon's in Denver. Oh, I guess we have to go to Denver. So
Yeah, we came from
places, and then to have it accessible if you're close. So
yeah.
really fun. I like that.
It was a nice excuse for a cross country road trip because we came from Rhode Island and we're just kind of like, hey, there's Niagara Falls on the way, and we might as well just drive to Denver.
Roughed it out. So everyone, do that. If you're trying to, if you want to go to PoleCon and it's somewhere far you've always wanted to go, just drive. Just go and drive. It's great. Love it.
It's a
Totally worth
long
it.
drive.
So worth it though. We're so worth it. We'd do it in a heartbeat. And we almost just stayed in Denver too.
Yeah, I didn't see a downside to just moving there and living there.
So how was and just sort of still touching on how PoleCon went this year, did you find it was any different besides the, I mean, amazing increase that you've been seeing continue like pretty consistently? Was there like anything different than previous years that you noted, or just like in terms of what you added and what went well and what didn't, or anything, any thoughts?
Sure. So every year I try to tweak the event just to respond to the community and see, what are people doing, what are people thinking about, talking about. So this year we added a couple of showcases. We added a parapole showcase, which is
Mm.
Mm,
for polars who are differently abled. So folks, para typically refers to people who might have been born or through an accident have maybe one less or two less limbs or something like that. And if you think of like Paralympics, but we
mm.
extend it to chronic illness and, any folks who self-identify in that way.
Yeah.
So
That's
that was,
amazing. And that gives them the spotlight to say, even though I've been through this, I can still do this.
mhm.
That's amazing. I love that. And I also noticed you had like the queer showcase and things like that, the Black Girls pole showcase, which was amazing.
They were all
Yeah.
so great. But yeah, that's such a it's really really warm and heartwarming to know that there's such an inclusion as well, especially to see it at a place like PoleCon, because it really is just sort of becoming this epicenter for us, and this ground where we all get together and see each other and new people and new things. And I would have never even known that there were I mean, of course I would always hope that everyone is getting into pole the way that we all love it as a community. But to have a showcase like that, awesome, really really awesome. That really makes people feel like they can do it, because the worst thing is when people are like, I can't pole, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear it. Everybody can pole, everybody.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I want the PoleCon showcases and the folks on the PoleCon stage to really represent the community. And that's everything from, ability level, gender expression, and then also thematic. So this
Mm.
year we also added the creepy showcase, which was really fun. So
Yeah.
I keep feeling like I need a better name than creepy, but I don't know. Creepy seems
We
to
can
fit.
brainstorm this.
I think creepy works, because fits, definitely
Yeah,
fits.
I like it. I like it because it's straightforward and it tells people this is what this showcase is about, without them having to guess. So, well, what do they mean by this?
Yeah,
Well,
right.
we mean creepy. Oh, okay.
People were really excited about creepy this year. And then we also added low flow, and then we had a freestyle
Mm.
case this
The
year.
freestyle was amazing. We got a chance to pop by and see that a little bit, and I know a couple people we talked to who were actually doing it. Like that was their favorite showcase that they did, because there was one person who loves freestyle, so she was excited she was able to actually get a chance to go on stage and do it.
Mhm.
And then the other person we talked to had never really done freestyle, so this was like a major milestone for her to just go on stage and do it.
Yeah, no strings attached, just
Mm.
to have fun. That was very much a running theme at PoleCon too. There, everyone's like, I'm just here to have a good time, share time
Yeah.
with my pole sisters and brothers, and everyone in between. Like, it's just that was love that inclusion, love that expression. It's needed. People need to see that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think especially, like you were saying, it's a chance for pole dancers to come together as kind of a family. The fact that the audience is all pole dancers, I think, really helped people let loose a little bit and just kind of have fun with it.
Oh, totally. And it's one thing that I really like about the PoleCon showcases is where it's a non-competitive environment.
Mm,
There are so many competitions, and I know that competitions are they're a great way for people to challenge themselves. They're a great way for people to get their name out in the industry. But it can also be kind of stressful and change the dynamic. So
yeah.
PoleCon, we did have a competition in 2015 that shared our stage. It was a separately run event, but it shared
Mm.
on stage. And after that, I said, it just changes the dynamic. So we don't have any competitions at PoleCon.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I like that. Yeah. So 10 years is a really big milestone. Next year, you're doing it in New Orleans, like you said. Do you have any major goals for that year or the future of PoleCon in general now that you've officially reached a decade?
Yeah, we just got, oh, I have new postcards. Hold on.
Ooh.
Yes, standing by, elevator music.
Okay. They're still moving and everything is all in a mess, so things are just everywhere. I'm really excited about our new branding. Is it like mud
Ooh, that looks sharp.
and our
Beautiful
little
colors.
fleur de lis for our
Yes.
for PoleCon.
I love the kind of galaxy theme you got going on in the background of the fleur de lis.
Mm-hmm. So really for this year, I want it to just be a huge celebration. There is when we first went in 2015, it was a big celebration because it was bringing PoleCon back. That during
Mm,
the kind of sale, PoleCon 2014 was actually canceled. So
Oh.
there was no PoleCon 2014. So coming back in 2015 with a new owner, people had no idea who I was. And I'm sending out all these emails like, "Hey, come to PoleCon," and they're like, "I thought that was canceled. Who the hell are you?" And so it's cool now to go back and say, we've got this really rich history. We keep growing. The pole community keeps growing. So I guess I just want to continue that growth. I want people to continue to come and find a space and say, hey, even for a few days, I found my tribe, and
Mm.
this was really, emotionally valuable for me.
Yeah.
And I just think that's where I want this to keep going.
I think it's
Definitely.
gonna be amazing. I mean, especially with that rich history like you were talking about, just having this milestone of let's celebrate this. Like more than other years, let's celebrate the community.
Mm,
And specifically the PoleCon community where pole dancers are just invited to join this family. I think that's amazing.
So
mm,
great. Now, so curious with do you plan on keeping all of the same showcases at this upcoming PoleCon? Are there any that you're thinking about adding, or any activities, anything special for New Orleans that perhaps didn't happen in previous years? Just since we were talking about it before too, I'm curious. We'll be there regardless, but
yes. So there will be one new showcase that I'm not ready to announce yet, but there will be one
Okay.
new showcase.
We're staying tuned.
I love secrets. It's fine.
And because if I add any more showcases, I think my stage manager is going to kill me.
Fair, fair. You're like, we're just gonna keep this low key for now. I'll tell her later.
Yeah, I sent her the spreadsheet this year because I added all these new showcases, and then I changed the metric for how many people can perform so that
Mm.
things got quicker, and so we could have more folks. So we had so many applicants, I could only let in about half the people who applied, which was
Oh
amazing.
wow.
And she took a look at the spreadsheet and was like,
And the side eye, she's like, you sure?
I'm like, I'm sorry, thank you.
And that's a good that's a really good sign though. Having that many people, it's better to have too many to choose from. And I mean, I'm sure it was a process getting there, but anyway, continue with what the activities. I'm curious.
So definitely the one new showcase. We'll probably add another panel. We've got every year we kind of add a new panel discussion based on the issues of the day. So we've got our long-running stripper sex worker panel, which is really important to keep having those conversations.
Yeah.
We added a race and cultural appropriation panel that's run by Black Girls Pole or
Very
Pole
important.
with
Yeah.
us. Then this year we added a queer panel so that
Mm.
folks
Also.
could talk about those issues, queer issues, gender issues, sexuality, etc. And then next year we're looking at adding a plus size panel so that people can
That's
talk
great.
about those issues as well that come up, especially in the studio context, but also for competitors, etc.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very topical. Yeah, for sure.
So a couple of new structural things, and then I'm working with the local New Orleans pole community, which since we were there and then came back has changed quite a lot. There's a pole
Mm.
studio that's just going to be a few blocks from our hotel. It's
Ooh.
in New Orleans, run by Squeak Machine.
Yes.
And Squeak and her crew are great. There's a whole bunch of other local studios that are a little bit further away from right on Canal Street where we're going to be. And I've already been working with them on figuring out some unique New Orleans specific stuff that we
Mm.
can add to PoleCon. So I don't want to give away any surprises, but there's definitely some NOLA specific things coming.
Well, that is super exciting, especially since you're like right in the center of all the action. It's
Love
gonna be a really, really fun year.
I love that you're embracing the community too. I mean, because when you're there, you may as well just pull as much as you can. And with something, like you said, so rich like New Orleans, that's going to be
Mm.
fantastic. It will be my first time there when we go. So anything, as much of New Orleans as I can drink, I'm drinking, I mean, not actually drinking, but, really drinking the city. It's got so much to offer. So that's very exciting to hear.
Hmm.
Very exciting.
Now, you mentioned since the last time you were there that the community in New Orleans has changed a lot as far as pole. But I've also noticed like the pole community as a whole has changed a lot. And what do you think about how it's evolving?
It's really rapid. I mean, honestly, I feel like the pole community is changing. Just in the last, week or so, there's been a lot of changes with the way that Instagram has done their algorithm. There's been continued issues with shadow banning that have kind of extended from the strippers, sex workers, burlesque, exotic folks into even the more of the pole sport community.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've noticed this.
So there's a lot of widespread changes that are coming to the community that are coming to us from a really macro place. These are from laws that are affecting people all over the world.
Yeah.
It's touching on the community, our community, as well as other communities in kind of unique ways. So I think it'll be interesting to see that on the one hand, you see pole more and more in major TV, in major, motion pictures, in major cultural things like Cirque du Soleil. So
Mm.
it's becoming more of a consciousness than, just being in the strip club. And at the same time, you know, as these big changes are happening, we're also seeing changes within our community. Like every year we add a panel because these are questions people have is, how do I talk to people of, different genders in my classroom in a way that is welcoming,
Yeah.
walk in and say, hey, ladies, and maybe not everybody identifies in that way, the pole studio should be a really safe space for people that maybe don't feel safe everywhere.
Mm. I definitely agree. And I love that those panels give everybody a voice and they allow the people who are running these studios or maybe teaching or just running a class here or there, they give them a chance to ask the questions they might be afraid to ask elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
Out of not
it's
knowing
like it
sometimes.
creates the space for it.
Hmm.
Really helpful, really useful.
Mhm.
I mean, and I love how you're really, taking it's not just pole as it is as a sport, it's pole how it is as a culture. I mean, you're really giving people that opportunity to talk about it in ways that, may feel a little, well, who do I ask? How do I ask? What
Yeah.
so those
Yep.
panels were so wonderful for that. And I think it really speaks a lot too as to, where we are as a community, how we want these conversations to happen. We're not ones to be like, no, no, just don't talk about it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
talk about it. We want to, we encourage it, and seeing that at PoleCon definitely just made me feel even better about the whole community. Just knowing that it really was as inclusive as I felt.
Mm.
Really cool. Yeah, oh, it was nothing but good feels at PoleCon. Trust and believe that. Um, let's see. Now, okay, so how do you think, and you can speak on that. How do you think that PoleCon has helped evolve the community? I mean, we as outsiders, I can definitely see the ways that it has, but how do you think?
Boy,
I know
I
it's a
mean, you can
loaded.
you can humble brag here. It's okay.
We're giving you that opportunity because you should, because it absolutely. So continue. I would love to hear
uh,
it.
so I have, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time. There's always that voice in the back of my head that's like, really, it's a metal pole, Colleen. Like, really, this is life changing. Like, come on. But then I do get messages from people who say, this did help me. This did change my life. This did make me feel like part of something bigger. And
Mm.
I think with PoleCon, giving people the opportunity to meet people they wouldn't usually meet. We often get really siloed into people who are in our own group. Whatever that is. If that's our socioeconomic group, that's our physical location. You've got friends from college, and you don't expand elsewhere. But pole really seems to transcend a lot of different things. People all walks of life, all different, backgrounds, all different challenges, and you come together and you realize, like, while we're all different, we all actually have the same problems, as
Yeah.
people. And
So
that's been my experience, as a pole dancer. All of my friends, that I've met through pole are people that I would not necessarily have run into, and they have become some of the closest, most valuable, humans in my life. So I want other people to have that experience, and I want to give the community a place, like you were saying, to to have challenging conversations. Just speaking from my own personal experience, I've never went to a strip club until after I started pole dancing. And
Yeah, same here.
I never even, it just never was something I even considered. It's not like I was like, it just, like I just never thought about going to a strip club. So I never thought about what that would be like or what that would mean or the people involved. Like I never, so going and have a conversation that doesn't feel rude where I'm like, no, really, how does it work? Like, do you like it? Is it cool? Like, what are your hours? Like, I always love to know how people's real lives work. Like, what is your job? Like, I know what my job is.
Yeah.
I get up every day, I sit behind a computer. Like, that's, but what do other people do? How do other people make a living? How do they deal with challenges with their families and, navigate their world? I find that fascinating. So I hope PoleCon gives other people that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think from what I've seen, it definitely has opened up those conversations.
Yeah, because we're all, I mean, if we're really, I feel like you've made it if all you have to do is pole, even if you're just doing even if it's just at the club, if you're doing pole consistently and you're making a living and like that's all you have to do, I'm like, how get me there. But a lot of us, like you said, we have, we have day-to-day jobs. We have different jobs that, notice the bruises and they'll notice how buff we're getting and they'll notice, like, what is that? Are you okay? Are you sure this is safe? Like, yes, it's fine. I'm doing it right. Don't worry. But yeah, sort of coming together on that and being able to talk about like, oh, well, this happened to me at my job today. What about you? Like any weird encounters with people giving you a hard time or being extra curious about what you're doing. And you're like, it's not all that. It can be all that, but it's not, it's so much more. And yeah, it's a really, really fun thing to talk about with people that have to do this whole double life thing is it's very real to all of us. Most of us, the ones who made it, congrats, but we're not quite there. We'll get there. We'll get there. So let's see. Of course, I think we may have reached sort of the end of our questions, excluding one very important question. What's your favorite thing about PoleCon, Colleen? What's your favorite thing about it? Like as broad specific as you want, but we got to know. What's your favorite thing
And knowing it can change from year to year.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm never prepared for this question.
It can't be. We wouldn't be either. We'd be like, everything. I don't know.
No, I mean, PoleCon is just. I mean, it sounds silly, but PoleCon is really just my life now. It's just my life. It's what it's what I do every day. It's what I think about. I put, so if anybody's following me on Instagram, I have really vivid dreams. And I started maybe about a couple months ago. I was like, fuck it. I need to tell other people these dreams. I don't know why.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I post every day in my Instagram stories. I post last night's dream. And, sometimes they're really fanciful and sometimes they're really stupid. And a lot of them are about PoleCon. And I'm constantly it's always like in my subconscious. It's in like, I'm wearing a PoleCon shirt. This is a vintage.
I saw Bourbon Street on there. Gotta grab one of those.
This is our vintage 2015 shirt.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that's
left.
So I'll have to grab one that you put out for this year then.
Yeah, so we'll make a new one for our 10-year anniversary. It'll probably look like this.
I'm down for that.
But it really is just it's my life, and it became my family's life. Lakin, my partner, does a lot of our design work. He's also our photographer. His parents have come to help out at PoleCon. His mother-in-law has often, my mother-in-law has often run registration with me. So it's it's just become
awesome.
a whole
That's
thing.
so sweet.
We've literally, so we moved, and we literally moved so that we could lower our expenses so that I could spend more time focusing on PoleCon.
Our couple, keep doing what you're doing. That's just beautiful. It's beautiful to hear. Really, really cool.
Yeah. So living, breathing, eating, sleeping, all PoleCon.
Yeah. So it's your you sort of took it over when it needed to be nurtured. It was a little, like baby bird or baby, it just needed some love, and you were there and ready to do it. And so fortunate to have such a great support system around you too. That's like,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's make it happen. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing, PoleCon and that. So I'm really really happy to hear that you've got support all around too. That's the best thing. You
Yeah.
can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it's a village. I mean, it's PoleCon's a lot of work, and especially when we get to the day. I always royal we. I mean, mostly it's me behind a computer, but when we
we
get
see
to
the email. Yeah, heck yeah.
we get to that PoleCon week, and it's crazy. The amount of volunteers, the folks that come out to just help and participate and give their energy to the event, to the community is just, it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you get quite a few volunteers as well? I mean, is it sort of like throughout the whole like year that people are like signing up to volunteer?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, particularly with the stage, we have so many pole cleaners. Pole cleaning is such a critical job. Making sure
Especially with
it's safe, and so then we have volunteers helping check people into workshops, which is important because that's how workshop leaders get paid, and
mm,
like people stuffing bags, people helping set up poles. I mean, it's just everybody.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, just to keep everything moving smoothly through the whole event. And it's with it being several days long
Yeah.
with the actual event, then
A lot of people that work
wow, it's a
too.
lot of work. Yeah.
Hey, you're nailing it though. Yeah, you're doing it right. That's for sure. Well, um, gosh. Well, I mean, okay, so we're super stoked for next year. Do you have anything else, any last announcements or any exciting news that you want to share with us as like a final note? I mean, or just any final notes in general?
So a lot of information is going to start to come out. I've published some information about survey results from last year. So what people like, what they didn't like. I read all the surveys so that way I can figure out how to continue improving the event. And then I've already released some of the changes for next year. There's mostly some pricing changes for exhibitors and sponsors, just a slight increase. We haven't increased prices in the past 6 events. So it was important to just tweak those numbers because my expenses go up every year. So
Yeah.
More people, it's gonna happen. Absolutely.
it unfortunately happened. So I published all those changes, and then I've got a lot of blogs in process to explain how to apply to perform, giving people some tips for submitting those applications, how to apply to be a paid workshop leader, how to apply to be a free workshop leader. So all that information is going to start to come out in early September.
Okay.
And this is all on your website.
Yeah. The PoleCon blog is a combination way for me to communicate things to folks, and then also for people to share, share their stuff. So we've got a whole blogs on everything from pole tutorials to more op-ed kind of pieces of people sharing their experiences. So we publish those. Sometimes I'll kind of promote them through Instagram as well, and then in our newsletter. So just try to get a lot of information and make sure we've got a lot of voices. So if anybody would like to write for the blog or contribute for the blog, please reach out to me. I'm always looking for new voices, new people to make sure, again, we're representing the whole community. So.
Mm, that's
We'll be sure to
awesome. I
put a
like
link.
that a lot.
Absolutely put a link in the description so people can get
Mm,
there quick and check out all the really useful information that you got up there. It was really nice having that pre going to PoleCon because we were, obviously a bit deer in headlights. So that was really, really useful. And we'll be sure to get something in there so everyone can get the same info.
mhm.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. No problem. Happy to do it.
Well,
Great.
thank you for your time today, and it was so awesome speaking with you.
Yay. Thank
So
you
great.
guys for the interview, and thanks for coming to PoleCon Denver, and we'll see you again in New Orleans.
Absolutely.